This is Ted Schmidt, Action Coach Northwest. This is another edition of our Business Community Podcast here in the greater Spokane area. And today our guest is Blake Bledsoe, Principal Engineer, Johnson Barrow Inc. So welcome, Blake. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let's dig right into the questions and share your insights and wisdom with the rest of the business community here. So first question is, if you had to start from square one in business, what would you do differently?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Johnson Barrow, when we came over to Spokane, we'd already been in the market over in the Seattle area. So we had a little bit of an advantage coming into this area because we kind of already knew some people and in terms of the mechanical contractors and engineers. One item I did have when we came over here, we hired individuals that were fresher in school or maybe didn't have as much experience, with the idea that we could help grow and develop them under the culture and standards that Johnson Barrow presents. I think hiring somebody that would have been in territory would have been a really good opportunity for us to grow the business in an early state. Someone with a little bit more experience and some wisdom under their belt, I'll say, just to help that initial process as you get going. That's probably one of the biggest items. Some of the other opportunity we had was being a new company over here and in construction. We started in 2019. The market really was taking off, and so we were very busy just to be starting a business, but then also having like the day-to-day operation really pick up really fast and be streamlined. So investing back into training people instead of just throwing them in the fire as much, it would have been great, I think, to really take that time to still send them back to some of our factories and other opportunities to let them grow and develop, even though we knew the maybe delay of them for their day-to-day work in Spokane would have suffered. I think it would have been more beneficial for the long run. And I mean, it's kind of going back to just really building that foundation, right? Getting a good base under you. So there's some ups and downs, some bumps, but we got to a point where I think we're all pretty comfortable where we're at now in 2025. So
yeah, so kind of if I heard you correctly, you kind of should have slowed down a little bit in order to speed up in the long term.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Absolutely. Sometimes you got the old saying, right? Like crawl, walk, jog, run.
Right. Right.
We came in and hopped right to jogging. So it'd been nice.
Yeah, you kind of went to jogging and with new people that didn't know the territory very so well and that sort of thing. So entering a new market, I guess, is a different game than we've had some clients do that over the years. And, you go into a new market, it's a little bit different than what you do in your own market, when it's a brand new market. So right. Yeah, great insights. Thank you. Okay, next question. What have your biggest learnings been as an employer since you began in business?
Yeah, I am, most people that probably are in this position understand that hiring might be the most challenging aspect of building a business. I think, one of our, weaknesses or maybe challenges that we've run into is being adaptive when you're hiring. So, you post something or you have a recruiter or somebody out there that's looking for this individual position, finding that the opportunity that you list doesn't necessarily always bring in the people that you want to see in that position. So being adaptive and making sure that if you find the right person, don't just be so set in stone with the title that you think you need to fulfill right in that moment, but find an opportunity to grow them and put them into a different area. So understanding that concept that people make a business, not the title that the people are in make the business. So I think for us, that was probably one of the biggest things is finding that being able to pivot if you find a person that maybe their skill set doesn't fit that A sector, but we have B sector maybe opening, or we create a new position for that person, that you can still see your business grow, even though it might not have been the ideal picture that you painted while you went into the hiring process.
Right. Yeah. So, well, I guess what I'm hearing you saying is hire for fit, and then find a great position for them within whatever is available within the company type thing.
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Next question. What are some common misconceptions about running a business, and how do you address them?
Yeah, this one, it kind of almost goes back to number one.
Yeah.
Quick action equals quick success. So I think a lot of us, when you get into a business, we have such a mindset of driven on the revenue side of things and how fast can I get to X amount of dollars? How do I get out of my J curve as fast as possible so I can start seeing profitability back into the business? I think the biggest thing there is just be patient and understand that you got to trust the process and develop that brand before you want to um, see dollar signs necessarily. Really understand that, hopefully if you're growing a business, you're going to be sitting in that seat for, 20 plus years, and something overnight's never going to make you fulfilled or succeed to what that long-term goal is probably. And there's a lot of people that speak on this and different business coaches and stuff like that too. But I think that's just really important. It's just be patient. Another kind of item I was thinking about in this question is, a lot of us, I think, in entrepreneurial mindsets, we think as the owner or the business developer that we have probably the best ideas, or that we can provide the best actions or decision making, or ultimately run a task. And I think surrounding yourself with the right people and being able to alleviate yourself and trust that your partners are going to be able to provide a solution or knowledge or execute a task as well as maybe you can in certain sectors, is going to free you up to continue to be that entrepreneurial mindset where you can grow and develop and try different avenues inside the business to keep that growth period going. So that was a really important thing for me. I had that problem where I started this, I know how to do everything, I can do it the right way, and being able to let go and take a step back and reflect that other people that's why you're bringing them onto your business, right? Let go a little bit and let people grow and develop and make mistakes so that they can learn to be better for that future, instead of the short term maybe loss that you might see in that business. So
yeah, it's kind of that superhero mindset where you do everything, you got everything, you got it figured out. Yeah, I've seen that a lot over the years with coaching, and it's hard to let go of stuff. It really is. It is, and I got to let go. You're gonna grow, you got to let go, right? So,
yeah.
okay. What do you attribute your growth to? We've just kind of talked about that a little bit, but can you add to that a little bit?
Yeah, again, timing is everything. You see a lot of businesses where there's a really good idea, but it showed up 10 years before it really should have hit, right? We're seeing this with AI and in the tech industry and all these different aspects. Us coming over here, we started in 2019. Obviously, COVID hit in 2020. That was a challenging circumstance. The one thing that we had really on our side is construction in the Pacific Northwest has just been booming. So, being a commercial HVAC representative, that just gave us the opportunity where the competition was there, but there were still areas for us to get work initially to keep that business kind of like cash flow good. And so there's just a little bit of luck there. I don't know if it's luck, good timing, we'll call it. Let's try and not call it luck.
Right. Sometimes you make your own luck, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a big, opportunity for us, and just having that right time. There was another, we did plan this when I was in Seattle. There was an individual that really dominated the market over here as a competitor of ours. We knew he was getting ready to retire, and there might be this opening for us to come in and have some early success. So that was kind of a insight I think we had from being in the same state, but just not in this territory. Eastern Washington, Western Washington, they really look at themselves as two different areas, especially in construction. So, but it was good insight that, myself and some of my business partners had to start our schedule of moving over into Spokane. So.
Yeah, be able to take advantage of that opening. Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. When they appear, you have to take advantage of them, right? That sort of thing. So, okay, how do you balance your personal life with the demands of running a business?
Yeah, that's a challenge. You see a lot of people, work sometimes becomes their passion, and so they really, full steam ahead of that, and the work-life balance can struggle. I will say I'm actually probably the opposite of that. I enjoy business and I enjoy this, but the family comes first. I would take playing with my kids any day of the week than sitting in the office. And being out with them, that's, I think, what makes me happy. Obviously we have to work, in this world. You got to make money and provide for your family. And there is something to be said that there is some joy in growing a business, right? If you have an entrepreneurial mindset, it fulfills you a little bit, right? In a certain way. So, one thing I pretty much pride myself on is let's really be efficient in those work hours. From us, it typically runs about 7 to 4 in construction, and being organized. The thing that we talked about with letting your employees be efficient in their own sectors instead of you thinking you can do everything. That's huge. That freed up a lot of time that, you could have spent maybe at home trying to figure certain things out. And I think this one is understated, and people don't think about it as much. But being able to find a way to understand how to prioritize the workload, right? So what is this? Do you have a good comprehension or understanding of, does this need to be done the next hour? Does this need to be done the next day? Can this wait for a week? And honestly, deadlines are crucial, certain things like that. But if you can learn how to navigate and manage what the expectation is of you, of your customer base or your ownership group or whatever that is, and you can be really detailed in how to navigate that timeline, I think you'll become more efficient during the day. And that ultimately frees you up at night, so you don't have to think about work, because you accomplished what you needed to accomplish in that 7 to 4 work hour day for us. So
yeah, that's a great point. I see a lot where everything's important, everything's urgent, everything's, and you really, that's really not that way, but you kind of fall into that trap sometimes. So, okay, sailing along here. We only got 3 questions left. Wow. Okay, what qualities do you look for in employees, and how do you foster a positive and productive work environment? You kind of talked about that a little bit, but maybe you can expand a little bit. So
yeah, I think, nowadays with everything just being at the touch of your hand and finding information, and most people you can almost be self-taught, right? There's obviously benefits of college and trade schools and other things like that, but my biggest thing I think we're seeing too is what is your willingness to learn? If I have someone or an individual that has no experience, and they have the drive and the ability to dive into a problem and be a yes man or yes woman, right? That to me is the number one aspect you're looking for in an employee. We've had, one of our most successful guys in Seattle was a music major. He has nothing to do with mechanical engineering, or construction or anything, right? And but he's just a driven individual. He's well thought. He's has an eagerness to learn, and those type of attributes, I think, really make it. Doesn't matter what field you go into, if you have that mindset, you're going to be successful. So that's probably the biggest thing for me. And then if I'm reviewing that as more of the managerial side, business owner, what I'm looking for is, when I talk about that willingness to learn or that drive for success, is not everybody's going to be an A+ employee. We have to realize that. But if someone's a C employee, can I get them to be a B+ because of their mentality? And if that's the case, then you're going to win every single time. You're going to have the opportunity to grow your business. And and that kind of starts at the top, right? So if your culture is good in your business, if your mentality is good, if it's an old saying I had from a football coach, and it's just, actions speak louder than words. And it couldn't be more right. People hear what you're saying. You can be a rah guy. You can have the greatest pep talk in the world, but if you're not the one that's actually implementing the things you're saying in your own daily life or how you're working in here, nobody's going to really follow you. That's some of the best leaders are, people that talk the least. So I think that's just super important. Being able to lead with your actions is what people will follow. And I think if you're doing that, that'll help them grow and build the right culture inside of your business. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're watching what you do more than listening to what you say. That's for sure. That's really true. So mindset. So you look for mindset, a driven person, willingness to learn, all that over knowledge, experience, skill, because you feel you can develop that. Do I have that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we, inside of our company now, we I started over here in 2019, just by myself out of my house. We're at 20 employees now in Spokane. And, most of them are, when I hired them, they'd had maybe a year or two of experience. And that's what we started in the sales sector. And because I found people that I like their attributes, right? They had good communication skills. They were really hungry to get out there and challenge themselves every day to, be successful. And then we had some people that came from never been in construction into project manager applications, but again, the willingness to learn and just dive in, right? Sink or swim. And they were, more than happy to go problem solve on their own. You just can't speak enough about those type of individuals that are that successful. And then what we did that was, as we grew, we have a service side inside of Johnson Barrow over here too. And that's where we really invested actually some money, and we brought in some people from one of our competitors that have been in the market for 20 years. They had a lot of experience, and that was kind of a shield, right? So we now have this youth or this group that is limited on experience, but we like the mentality, and we back them with people that have a lot of knowledge experience. So when the project gets sold, we have people out in the field that can really provide a good solution to problems when they occur, right? It's mechanical equipment, there are going to be problems. So that was a nice backbone to really help those younger people feel more confident and comfortable. And so I think, that was a very strategic thing we did, is let's spend our money and put our time to find the right individual that has a good knowledge base into an area that's the most challenging sometimes inside the business. And that seemed to work out really well with help developing some of those younger people as well.
Yeah, well, sometimes there is no substitute for experience. There just isn't. Sometimes you got to have it. So, okay, second to last question here. What question should I be asking you that I haven't?
That's a good one. I guess a lot of times you hear these people talk about like, oh, that guy's a real entrepreneur. What is an entrepreneur? Like, that's a question I still think about. Like, I guess in this position, I'd be considered an entrepreneur, and I still to this day will sit there and be like, what did I do? As you're moving through it day by day, you don't maybe understand sometimes what you're building in the moment until you reflect back on it. And so,
Mhm.
I that term just gets thrown around so much today in our society. Like, that's a guy's an entrepreneur. He created this or he created that. And um, I still don't necessarily know that I understand that comment, right? I don't know the entrepreneur side of it. And some of it is, I know the dictionary term and what it means as a title, but when I think, a lot more of us, at least in this position, you're really a business developer. And so I think trying to understand that entrepreneurial mindset, that's a question I still have for myself. And I don't know how I answer it at this point in time, but the one thing I do know is if you develop good people, you'll have a good business. So I think that, the opportunity for an entrepreneur is to build on people, don't build on, your product and things like that. Because if you bring the right people in, the product and all that other stuff is going to develop. I think you're seeing a lot of that with some of these Silicon Valley guys and stuff like that, right? They're getting these really good people that just create these, incredible codes, and what Elon's doing with the spaceship and all that, right? Like, this idea it's not the manufacturer of those things. He's brought in the right people and he's developing people, and that's what's creating an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's interesting. What is it? Yeah, that's a good question. I think it could vary by person too, Yeah, that's really good. Okay, last question. Sailing right along here. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And any words of advice for other business owners who are looking to grow their business?
Well, I'm building a house in Spokane, so hopefully still at Johnson Barrow in Spokane in 5 years. Raising our children here. You never know what will happen, I guess. But at this point in time, I really like where I'm at. I like the opportunity that we're at, the growth that we're having. I look forward to the next 5 years in Johnson Barrow. I think we're starting to, like I talked about earlier, we're really building that brand. Relationships have, drastically improved as we've been over here the last 5 years, and seeing the growth of the other people in my office is, that fulfills that joy side of things. I think when you're in the ownership or manager position, I guess my words of advice is, you only live once, so enjoy it, right? I think sometimes we get so caught up in the ups and downs of everyday life. And I think sometimes it's nice just to sit back and reflect on what you built. I used to have a problem, and I'm still working on it, but you know, taking home the negative side of things. So, a customer is upset with you that day and you replay that in your head. And that's a little bit human nature. But I think, for me, what's really helped is when I get into that mindset or something happens, it's like, you got to remember you're on a ball of dirt flying through space, and there's one opportunity with this. So why am I letting this eat at me? Then there's going to be another day, of someone being upset or a good win, right? And just keeping that grounded mind space, I think, has helped a lot. And kind of piggyback that, I took a class last year with a gentleman that actually is from Spokane. His name's Tyler Schmidt, and he's gotten to the space of kind of was with business leaders to control, the breathing techniques and all these, like, stress management, I guess is the best way to put it. And I went through this 8-week class with him, and I thought it was really beneficial. And they're taking those things to reflect back about the stress that people, in my position and other businesses sit in. It can really weigh on you. And so I think finding ways to alleviate yourself and provide stress management is probably one of the most important things you can do if you're sitting in this chair. So
yeah, that's so true. Stress will wear you out. That's for sure. That's great.
I got gray hairs now,
Well,
man. They came out of nowhere.
yeah. Okay. Well, thank you to Blake Bledsoe, the principal engineer at Johnson Barrow Inc. And great job today. Had some great insights. I hope everybody got a lot out of that. And just thanks for being a part of our podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ted. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Bye.